Nilayasan ni Jacob si Laban. Genesis 31 verses 1 to 55. Nabalitaan ni Jacob na laging sinasabi ng kanyang mga bayaw na kinakamkam na niyang lahat ang ari-arian ng kanilang ama at galing dito ang lahat niyang kayamanan. Napuna rin niyang nagbago na ang pakikitungo sa kanya ni Laban. Kaya sinabi sa kanya ni Yahweh, magbalik ka na sa lupain ng iyong mga magulang at ng mga kamag-anak at sasamahan kita. Pinasabihan ni Jacob si Raquel at si Leah na tagpuin siya sa parang na kinaroroonan ng kanyang mga kawan. Sinabi niya sa kanila, napansin kong iba na ang pagtingin sa akin ng inyong ama. Hindi na tulad ng dati. Subalit hindi ako pinabayaan ng Diyos ng aking mga magulang. Alam ninyong ginugol ko ang aking buong lakas sa pakikipaglingkod sa inyong ama. Sa kabila noon, dinadaya pa rin niya ako. 10 beses na niyang binago ang kabayaran sa akin, ngunit hindi ipinahintulot ng Diyos na ako'y maapi. Kapag sinabi ni Laban na ang ibabayad sa akin ay batik-batik, ang buong kawan ay nanganganak naman ng ganon. Ang Diyos ang may kaloob na mapasa akin ang kawan ng inyong ama. Sa panahon ng pag-aasawahan ng mga hayop, ako'y nanaginip. Nakita ko na pawang batik-batik ang lahat ng mga barakong kambing. Sa aking panaginip, tinawag ako ng anghel ng Diyos at ako na may sumagot. Ang sabi sa akin, Jacob, masdan mo ang lahat ng mga barakong kambing. Silang lahat ay may batik. Ginawa ko ito sapagkat alam kong dinadaya ka ni Laban. Ako ang Diyos na nagpakita sa iyo sa Bethel, na kung saan ay binuhusan mo ng langis ang isang bato bilang alaala. Doon ay gumawa ka rin ng isang panata sa akin. Maghanda ka na at umalis ka sa lupain ito. Umuwi ka na sa iyong lupain na sinilangan. Sinabi naman ni Raquel at Leah, wala na kaming mamanahin sa aming ama. Dayuhan na ang turing niya sa amin. Ipinagbili niya kami at nilustay ang lahat ng pinagbilhan sa amin. Kaya ang lahat ng kayamanang inalis ng Diyos sa aming ama ay sa amin at sa aming mga anak. Gawin mo ang sinasabi sa iyo ng Diyos. Isinakay naman niya sa kamelyo ang kanyang mga asawa at mga anak. Dinala niya ang kanyang mga kawan at lahat ng kayamanang naipon niya sa Mesopotamia at bumalik sa Kanaan, sa lupain ng kanyang amang si Isaac. Wala noon si Laban sapagkat naggugupit ito ng balahibo ng mga tupa. Sinamantala iyon ni Raquel upang kunin ang mga Diyos-Diyosan sa tolda ng kanyang ama. Nilinlang ni Jacob si Laban sa Amareo. Hindi niya ipinaalam ang kanyang pag-alis. Tinawid niya ang ilog Euphrates papunta sa bulubunduki ng Gilad, dala ang lahat niyang mga ari-arian. Makaraan ang 3 araw, nalaman ni Laban ang pag-alis ni Jacob. Isinama niya ang kanyang mga tauhan at hinabol nila si Jacob. Inabot nila ito sa bulubunduki ng Gilead. Pagkaraan ng 7 araw, nang gabing iyon si Laban ay kinausap ng Diyos sa pamamagitan ng panaginip. Sinabi sa kanyang huwag pagbabantaan ng anuman si Jacob. Nang dumating si Laban, si Jacob ay nakapagpatayo na ng kanyang tolda sa kaburulan. Nagtayo rin ng tolda si Laban sa kaburulang iyon ng Gilead. Tinanong ni Laban si Jacob, bakit mo ako nilinlang at itinakas mo pa ang aking mga anak na parang mga bihag? Bakit mo inilihim sa akin ang iyong pag-alis? Sana'y inihatid ko kayo na may tugtugan at awitan sa saliw ng tamborin at alpa. Hindi mo man lang ako binigyan ng pagkakataong mahad ka ng aking mga anak at mga apo bago sila umalis. Napakalaking kahangalan ang ginawa mong ito. Kung sa bagay, kaya kitang saktan. Ngunit hindi ko iyon gagawin sapagkat kagabi sinabi sa akin ng Diyos ang iyong ama na huwag kitang pagbantaan sa anumang paraan. Alam kong ginawa mo ito dahil sabik ka nang umuwi sa inyo. Subalit, bakit mo naman ninakaw ang aking mga Diyos? Sumagot si Jacob, natakot po ako na baka hindi ninyo pasamahin sa akin ang inyong mga anak. Ngayon, kung makita ninyo ang inyong mga Diyos sa sino man sa amin, dapat siyang mamatay. Saksi ang naritong mga kamag-anak natin. Tingnan ninyo kung mayroon kayong anumang ari-arian dito at kunin ninyo. Hindi alam ni Jacob na si Raquel ang kumuha ng Diyos-Diyosa ni Laban. Hinalughog ni Laban ang tolda ni Jacob, ang kay Leah, at gayon din ang dalawang aliping babae. Ngunit hindi niya nakita ang kanyang mga Diyos. Pumasok din siya sa tolda ni Raquel, ngunit naitago na ito ang mga Diyos-Diyosan sa upuang nasa likod ng kamelyo. At iyon ay kanyang inuupuan. Hinalughog na mabuti ni Laban ang buong tolda, ngunit wala siyang nakita. Sinabi ni Raquel sa kanyang ama, huwag po kayong magagalit sa akin kung sa harapan ninyo'y hindi ako makatayo, sapagkat ako po'y mayroon ngayon. Patuloy na naghanap si Laban, ngunit hindi rin niya nakita ang kanyang mga Diyos-Diyosan. Nagalit ng husto si Jacob at tinanong niya si Laban, ano bang pagkakasala ang ginawa ko sa inyo? May batas ba akong nilabag at gayon na lamang ang paghahalughog ninyo? Kung may nakuha kayong ari-arian sa sino man sa amin, ilabas ninyo at hayaan ninyong hatulan tayo ng ating mga kasamahan. 20 taon tayong nagkasama. Patuloy ang pagdami ng inyong mga tupa at kambing. At ni isang tupang barako sa kawan ninyo'y di ko pinangahasang kainin. Kung may tupang sinila ng mababangis na hayop, hindi ko na ipinapakita sa inyo. Pinapalitan ko agad. Pinipilit ninyong ako'y magbayad ng anumang mawawala. Maging iyo'y ninakaw sa gabi o sa araw. Mahabang panahon akong nagtiis ng matinding init ng araw at lamig ng gabi. Kulang na lamang ako sa tulog. Iyan ang naranasan ko sa loob ng 20 taon kasama ninyo. 14 na taon akong naglingkod sa inyo dahil sa 2 ninyong anak na babae at 6 na taon pa para sa iyong mga kawan. Sa kabila noon, 10 beses ninyong binago ang ating partehan. Mabuti na lamang at kasama ko ang Diyos ng aking mga magulang, ang Diyos ni Abraham na sinasamba rin ni Isaac. Kung hindi marahil ay pinalayas ninyo ako ng walang kadala-dala. Alam ng Diyos ang aking hirap at pagod, kaya kagabi pinagsabihan niya kayo. Sinabi ni Laban kay Jacob, ang lahat ng dala mo'y akin. Aking mga anak, aking mga apo, at aking mga kawan. Ngunit, ano pa ang magagawa ko? Ang mabuti gumawa tayo ng kasunduan. Magbunutan tayo ng bato na siyang magpapaalala sa ating kasunduan. Naglagay si Jacob ng isang bato bilang isang alaala. Sinabi niya sa kanyang mga tauhan na maglagay din doon ng bato. Pagkatapos, kumain sila sa tabi ng bunton ng mga bato. Ito'y tinawag ni Laban na Jagar sa Haduta. at Galid naman ang itinawag doon ni Jacob. Sapagkat sinabi ni Laban, ang buntong ito ng mga bato ang tagapagpaalala ng kasunduan nating dalawa. Tinawag ding Mizpah ang lugar na iyon, sapagkat sinabi ni Laban, bantayan nawa tayo ni Yahweh samantalang tayo'y magkalayo. Kapag inapi mo ang aking mga anak o nag-asawa ka ng iba, alalahanin mo na wala man ako roon, ang Diyos ang saksi sa ating kasunduan. Pagkatapos sinabi ni Laban, narito sa pagitan natin ang mga batong ibinuntun ko, at narito rin ang batong inilagay mo. Ang mga ito ang ating palatandaan. Ito rin ang magiging hangganan natin upang maiwasan ang paglusob sa isa't isa. Ang Diyos ni Abraham at ang Diyos ni Nahor ang hahatol sa atin. At sa pangalan ng Diyos na sinasamba ng ama ninyong si Isaac, ay sumusumpa si Jacob na matutupad at tutupad siya sa kasunduang ito. Pagkatapos, nagpatay siya ng isang hayop at ito'y inihandog doon sa bundok. Nagsalo-salo sila at doon na rin nagpalipas ng gabi. Kinaumagahan, umuwi na si Laban matapos hagkan ang kanyang mga anak at mga apo. Jacob flees from Laban. Genesis 31 verses 1 to 55. Jacob heard that Laban's son were saying, Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all his wealth from what belonged to our father. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had before. Then the Lord said to Jacob, go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I work for your father with all my strength. Yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said, the speckled ones will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, the strict one will be your wages, then all the flocks will bore strict young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked and speckled or spotted. The angel of God said to me in dream, Jacob, I answered, here I am. And he said, look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now, leave this land at once and go back to your native land. Then Rachel and Leah replied, do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? Does he not regard us as foreigners? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. Then Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of time, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to go to his father's Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household goods. Moreover, Jacob deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. So he fled with all he had, crossed the Euphrates River, and headed for the hill country of Gilead. On the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God came to Laban the Aramean in a dream at night and said to him, "Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad." Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead. When Laban overtook him, and Laban and his relatives competed, then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me, so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of timbrels and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye. You have done a foolish thing. I have the power to harm you, but last night the God of your father said to me, 'Be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad.' Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's household. But why did you steal my gold? Rather, why did you steal my gods?" Jacob answered Laban, "I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughter away from me by force. But if you find anyone who has your gods, the person shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, see for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me, and if so, take it." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods. So Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the tent of the two female servants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household goods and put them inside her camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent but found nothing. Rachel said to his father, "Don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I am having my period." So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. "What is my crime?" he asked Laban. "How have I wronged you that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it in here in front of your relatives and mine, and let them judge between the two of us. I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. This was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime, and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for your daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham and fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine. Yet, what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children that they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar. He said to his relatives, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them up in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called a Jagar Sahadutha, and Jacob called it Galid. Laban said, this heap is a witness between you and me today. That is why it was called Galid. It was also called Mizpah, because he said, may the Lord keep watch between you and me when we are away from each other. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take away my any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us, remember that God is a witness between you and me. Laban also said to Jacob, here is this heap, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness, and this pillar is a witness, that I will go past this heap to your side to harm you, and that you will not be past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nahor, the God of their fathers, judge between us. So Jacob took an oath in the name of fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill and invited his relatives to a meal. After they have eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home.